Is this where the money will be made in the coming years? It's pretty interesting. Now, I don't frankly care that much. I don't. I just bought the index. I do have a couple of individual stocks and ETFs, but generally speaking, I've heard these pitches a million times a Sunday, and I'm just like, bah. But I thought this was interesting nonetheless. And I'm not saying, I don't even know what investment you would put into this, but I guess we could look at it together as I'm looking for Pablo. But I got some new white t-shirts, by the way. So they're new white t-shirts. Smelling good too. Oh yeah, because I just got done from the grill, so they smell like cooking up some New York strip. All right, so anyway, this is the guy on LinkedIn, Mark Moss, investing in Bitcoin businesses, helping entrepreneurs grow. I don't know who this guy is, but this is a good article, whatever it is, post, and I find it very interesting. America is rebuilding like it's 1942 all over again. But we're missing the raw materials to make it happen. Completely agree on that. Nobody's talking about this bottleneck that's about to hit our manufacturing come back hard. Here's what I'm seeing. Look what happened from 1940 to 1944. GDP jumped 76% in 4 years. The average worker became 25% more productive. Unemployment fell just to 1.2% as factories sprang up overnight. Well, they sprang up overnight because FDR forced them to take a war hold. I mean, whatever, dude. I mean, it is what it is. But that's, presumably these are all truthful. I think they are. That's exactly what we're setting up for again. But here's one big difference. The manufacturing comeback started long before the recent policy changes. 100, even Stiffy Joe. 287,000 manufacturing jobs returned to the U.S. in 2023. Now, he doesn't cite any sources for this. We're just going to go assuming it's correct. I don't know. I guess we could look at Grok and see. Factory investments jumped 70% year over year. Data centers are growing at 33% annually through 2030. All that I completely, at least a data center is 100%. I don't know if you consider a data center a factory. I don't know, but I think that has some legitimacy to that. So we're seeing some big growth in that regard. And all that started happening before Trump's tariffs came in. Yeah, Trumpster freaking hitting back the commies. Yeah, I like it. The money being thrown at this rebuild is honestly mind-blowing. $8 trillion was committed in Q1 2025 alone. Now, I don't know how he got that number. I don't know, but I find it interesting. That's okay. And just because it's committed in Q1 doesn't mean it has to be played in Q1 or presented in Q1. It just says we're going to commit to it. It's kind of like a pledge. I was listening to this one book. Some idiot freaking scoundrel from Malaysia was stealing Malaysian taxpayer funds. And he's like committing huge amounts of money to like Harvard or something like that, just pledging. And of course he never did. It's just the whole thing is such scumbags, dude. That's why we got to tax the nonprofits, tax the foundations. Don't let people like Bill Gates transfer money tax free. It's insane. 22% of our GDP was committed in Q1 alone. Between the CHIPS Act, infrastructure bill, and new initiatives are putting serious cash behind this comeback. We should see GDP growth numbers like we haven't seen since the 1940s. Well, we'll see. I mean, if we stop importing so much, 100%, and exporting more, we will. Absolutely. That's the issue. It's really just that simple. Why is our GDP so low? Because we're importing. And why is it going to be high in Q2? Because we're exporting more and importing less. So it's just that simple. It's not simple. This isn't hard to figure out, man. But here's a problem that nobody's talking about. We need Cooper. We need, dude, I think I do have a little bit of dyslexia. We need copper. Just real quick. All right, here, let me pause this real quick. I want to show you something here. Apparently this thing is not called a canape. It's, I think it's a canapé. It's a small prepared food on a base, often eaten with fingers as a start for whore's divorce. It's not a canape. Maybe it's not dyslexia or whatever. Maybe it's just not from me. All right, so we need copper, aluminum, and rare earths now. Most of our mining happens overseas. Exactly. Getting a new mine approved takes 10 to 20 years in the U.S. You can't build AI data centers and factories if you don't have the metals to build with. Copper mining's become the biggest bottleneck of all. Trump just called for bringing copper production back to America because it's a national security issue. Dude, conductivity for wires for electric. Dude, copper is such an integral part of our. You just need it. You got to have it, and that's why all the redneck types like to steal copper. We don't commit crimes in terms of what the urban people do. We steal people's copper wires because we know it's so valuable. Without it, we can't build the electrical systems for data centers, EV chargers, or automated factories. The gap between what we need and what we have is getting wider. All right, so demand for these metals is growing through the roof. Supply can't increase fast enough. Companies with existing mines in the U.S. have a huge advantage. Yep, the material shortage is going to ripple through the economy. Projects will get delayed when they can't get the copper or aluminum they need, which is why I'm saying you got to put tariffs on this crap, which will lead to price spiking and scarcity for sure. If you're looking for a position for this, focus on U.S.-based mining operations that already exist. Look for companies that can bypass the typical permit timeline. Pay attention to metals processing, not just extraction. I think that's 100% right. Extraction is one thing, but actually processing it without question. Watch for government fast-tracking critical materials projects. And, we'll see, man. I don't know, but the biggest winners will be those who can deliver materials when no one else can. I completely agree with that. I don't know what that means, but we'll see what the comments say in here. And there's my shining face right there. Look at that handsome guy. So handsome, Josh. Why do you gotta be so handsome? Because of ladies. This guy says, we'll see next week with resolution copper how serious the U.S. is about copper. It would be a top five copper mine if allowed to proceed. Interesting. Let me see. Don't know this. Don't know this. Can you elaborate? Elaborate. There we go. We are at war in kind of big war because men were being sent to sacrifice lives. Women. Oh, we were talking about the 1940s. Could just work closer to Canada. No, we don't want to work closer to Canada. We want to be self-sufficient. It's a totally fake post. We did not create 287,000 manufacturing jobs. Let's take a look here. Let's see what Grok says. All right, well, here's Grok saying only 23,000 were created in 2023, but then they go on to say that factcheck.org clarifies that under Biden's term, 789,000 manufacturing jobs were added from January 2021 to December 2023, with 175,000 being new jobs beyond COVID levels. So that makes sense to me. I mean, okay, let's just say 200,000 new manufacturing jobs were created from 2021 to 2023. All right, I get that. I don't necessarily buy the 287,000, but be it as it may. This guy says this is an AI-generated diatribe. Let's see what this guy says. Okay, hope your post gets 0 views or whatever. Forgetting about the whole raw materials thing, hugely important though. It's not 1942. No one's sinking your ships or. Okay. I hope you're correct. Good. I think that's a long-term plan. Bring jobs back to America with real wages. Yep, 100%. Anyway, interesting. The GDP went up 13% during Biden. Pretty good considering it's a very mature economy. During Trump won, the GDP. Okay, so this can be a. Let me summarize your post. T-Rump is bat crap crate. Okay, whatever. Anyway, that might be. I think there's something to be said about that, man. Find the kind of don't invest based on some stupid guy on YouTube or whatever, me or some stupid guy on LinkedIn, but focus on U.S.-based mining operations that already exist. Look for companies that can bypass a typical permit timeline. Pay attention to metals processing. I actually think there's something to be said about that, dude. What did I invest in? I invested in what did I buy? I did put some money into PIC. I can't remember when I did last year at some point. I think it was last year. iShares Global Metals and Mining Producers ETF. How dare you just buy global stuff? What is PIC? I have no clue what this does. So let's just see here. I mean, what this has done. So far, the 1 year is down 11.35%. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know why it's done so poorly? Because I own it. I probably literally the day, it's probably like a 3,000% until I bought it. Then it went down 11.35 over the last year. There you go. That's fantastic. Does it have a distribution, a yield on this? Year to date is up 1.25. Anyway, I bought this. I can't remember how much I put in. I just don't remember. But anyway, you should not buy it. Exposure to companies that are involved in extraction and production of diversified metals, aluminum. Yeah, there you go. So I bought this probably a year ago. I don't think it's a year ago. I think it was back in October or something like that. Or maybe right when the Trumpster won. Anyway, does it even have a yield? I don't even know. But let's take a look. Is there any domestic global metals and mining? And my man Grok says, I couldn't find a U.S.-only mining and metals investment fund that exclusively focuses on U.S. Most of the funds, like what I pick, and Spider, XME, or Victory Precious Metals Fund, which is used to be USA, include both U.S. and international companies. as the mining industry is inherently global. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I don't know what to do. I just find that interesting, and I'm inquisitive when I see something like this. Yeah, because we gotta start. We need that. What's the biggest? Is it what was the biggest car? Was it Phelps Dodge? Used to be the biggest. What is that now called? Phelps Dodge. Let's take a look. What company? What did Phelps Dodge become? Phelps Dodge used to be was it Freeport-McMoRan Copper and Gold in March 2007. Okay, guy. Following the acquisition, Phelps Dodge ceased to exist as a separate entity and was integrated in Freeport-McMoRan and became one of the world's largest publicly traded copper producers. The company retained the Freeport name and continues to operate mining assets, including the Grasberg mine in Indonesia, the Morenci. I've been to Morenci a number of times because I worked for the state mine inspector's office. So is Freeport-McMoRan and Copper and Gold Company, is that publicly traded? Let's take a look, shall we? I have no clue. And again, don't listen to anything I'm saying. I'm just freaking yapping here. Yappy McGee. It's what I do. It was a private. Yeah, there's the Freeport-McMoRan or whatever that was called. It does trade, and the ticker is FCX, I guess. Is that X New York Stock Exchange? I don't know what XNYS is. Anyway, so it's an international leading mining headquartered in Phoenix. All right, primarily focused on copper, gold, and Molly B. I remember Molly B. Molly B was a big thing you had to put. And I can't remember what it was, but I remember there's like a song about Molly B for Arizona because you had to have Molly B to do something. I forgot what it was. Molly B. Form tonight. Okay, yeah, it's cool. Okay, there you go. So anyway, Morenci mine. They used to have the Oracle mine and the one in Global. What happened to those guys? Does it got a dividend or anything? Anyway, I don't know. I don't care. I'm just looking at that. It's pretty interesting to me. Molly B produced mainly from U.S. mines like Climax and Henderson. Okay. Yeah, there you go, man. We'll see what happens. It's all good. All good. I love your thoughts. If you're in the industry, what do you think, man? I was my man Cal. He posts. I think his name's Cal, but he posts something about he used to be in steel production. A very interesting post that he put. I said, man, because you guys are freaking smarter than this than me. I don't know anything. I'm just a freaking caveman in my t-shirt with my dog. So you guys know more than me. So if you got something to say, freaking let's hear it. God bless. We'll see you.